Ms. Stevens. Ms. Chavez DeRemer, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Secretary Cardona, it's been a busy time for you, and in this time in history, not for very good reasons. This committee is unsettled by the failures of both you and your staff in handling the Fafsa debacle and rising anti-Semitism on college campuses. But I want to start with the Fafsa. Over the past months, my district has been handling a high number of cases for parents seeking help with the FAFSA and how to deal with your department. They can't get a real person on the phone. They spend hours on hold and eventually are told their issues are technical glitches with zero guidance on what the next steps might be. All the while, their kids missed early acceptance deadlines because they didn't know how much financial aid they were going to be working with. That part really frustrates me. Actually, when I think about, do I get mad about certain things? Those are the kind of things of unresponsiveness. And it's been 100% to my Office of Non-Responsiveness, not even a confirmation of receiving the case when we submit one. And I pride myself on casework. The congressional phone line for the department sometimes allows the team to leave a message, but no one ever calls us back. So I've been frustrated. Other agencies at least respond, that they'll get back to me with an answer. And so I asked myself, who did you hire? Because it seems unacceptable. And really, quite frankly, I've hired and fired throughout my career people, and it seems pathetic to not be able to at least hire people who can return a message. The Department of Education, if it exists for a real purpose, it's to increase access to education. And you and your staff seem to have failed spectacularly, unfortunately, in the casework and clearing that bar. Let me talk now about another low bar the department seems to be struggling with. After October 7th, anti-Semites on college campuses came out in droves. Jewish students have openly stated that they feel threatened and unsafe, and some have been physically assaulted. About a week ago, one rabbi affiliated with Columbia University advised Jewish students to leave campus for Passover. Schools have canceled their commencement ceremonies, and last week, GW University's law school here in DC relocated its final exams to an undisclosed and secure location. Our schools in Oregon are dealing with similar situations, and I've talked to those university presidents and what the future could look like. It really is the greatest crisis in American education in decades. Last week, before a Senate Appropriations Subcommittee, you mentioned the department's Office of Civil Rights roughly had 145 investigations into the universities and schools and the school districts for potential Title VI violations. This, of course, is the legal basis for investigations and actions regarding discrimination based on race or religion. In this case, countless Jewish students. You somewhat touched on it today, but what is the timeline for the resolution of these investigations, and when will penalties, if appropriate, be announced and imposed? And I really would hope that you don't answer, if you give us more money, you'll have those answers.
Thank you for the questions. I agree with you that hate has no place on our campuses and we must act. I just want to go back and say this is the administration that reopened schools, provided debt relief, and overhauled a 40-year-old FAFSA system. And while delayed, we are working 24/7 to serve the people that you represent. And I'm committed to making sure you have information. I'll ask someone from my team to reach out to you this week on your questions. With regard to the anti-Semitism, it's unacceptable, and we take a very strong stance on that. We have more cases open. We've closed more cases than the last administration already. We're committed to it. We have guidance within 2 clicks of our website that provides a Dear Colleague letter that was sent out today, a letter that I sent out Friday. This is something we take very seriously as well.
Thank you. And so the reason these investigations are important to get through is because it really doesn't seem to protect students when they need it most, and that's right. Immediately. On December 6th, you received a letter from the leaders of the Jewish Orthodox Jewish Congregations of America. They asked you to issue that guidance. And I was glad to see this morning that you issued that new guidance for the administrators from pre-K to post-grad to fulfill those Title VI obligations. Mr. Secretary, exactly how many forms of guidance have you now circulated since October 7th?
We've had over 100 actions, and I can tell you with the guidance, I have to say at least 3 or 4 that I can think of off the top of my head. There could be more. Visit ed.gov, click on supporting campus safety.
Thank you.
There's a whole list there for yourself and your constituents.
Thank you. It also says schools have a legal responsibility to address the discrimination against those students. And it sounds like that you would include when protesters shout from the river to the sea at Jewish students. And yet, out of roughly 10 reference examples this new guidance provides, the chant is never mentioned. So 2 final questions before my time is up. Does the department recognize that screaming from the river to the sea at Jewish students is a call for genocide? And 2, If schools do not follow this guidance, will you impose penalties such as withholding funding, as you committed to Congresswoman Manning that you will do that?
Calls for genocide are abhorrent, and we stand against those. And if brought
Will
forward
you
in an
withhold funding, as you committed to Congresswoman Manning?
Absolutely. If schools refuse to adhere to Title VI, absolutely.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I yield back.
Thank you. Mr. Smucker, you're recognized.